used to live there. After living in South Africa, Oscar Pistorius' story seems very possible. Beautiful country, but can be a very scary place to live, and the stats wear that out. Murders increased, is up by 6%, 6.5% attempted murder. Aggravated robbery up 1.2%. Residential burglary increased by 3.3%, and that's just in a year. That's just in a year that those numbers are jumping. All right, let's get a much clearer picture of what's going on there. I'm going to bring in HLN production assistant Christo Toshani, criminal defense attorney Tanya Miller. Christo, great to see you. You lived there. You were born there. You were raised there.
Yes, and that fear that you're talking about, Vinny, is something that I grew up with. It's something that I had instilled inside of me since I was a kid, something that my sister has inside of her, and my parents. I mean, that's why we moved here.
Here we see the whole family. Wait, you moved to the United States because of the crime?
Yeah. In the 12 years that I lived there, I probably was robbed at least 5 times within our own household. And
now, when you say within your house, do you mean someone entered your house?
Yes, I mean...
Broke into your house?
Yes. I've had, been held up at gunpoint. My brother's been held up at gunpoint. The last straw that finally pushed us to actually move here was my dad. My dad was shot in... He's totally fine now, but I mean, he was shot in a robbery at the front steps of my house. I mean, my mom opened the door, and there he was lying, in a pool of blood. So... that fear is something that I definitely understand, and I can, when you first hear about the story, you're like, who just shoots at a door,
That's what I've been saying. To me, it sounds ridiculous, and I'm totally skeptical. But listening to you, we have to put ourselves in a different different place.
I can totally understand. I mean, I'm not an expert on this case, and I'm not saying that, I'm defending Pistorius, but I can see where he's coming from. I mean, I can totally understand being in that sense of fear and not knowing if someone's in your house and just rushing to judgment because you're trying to keep your household safe.
And speaking of judgment, a single person, one person will be sitting in judgment of Oscar Pistorius, a judge. It's a female judge.
That's right.
I don't know if that has any impact on any of this. But how do you think this all plays now? Because that judge lives in South Africa, and I'm sure the judge is well-to-do and has her own concerns for her own safety.
Well, I mean, obviously, this is going to be a problem for the prosecution. Look, if folks in South Africa understand this notion that you're not safe in your own home, that there are lots of things that go bump in the night that can do you harm, they're going to think that what he's saying is reasonable. And if that's reasonable, if that is believable, the prosecution is not going to be successful with this prosecution.
Yeah. Well, Christo, I'm glad that your family is all safe here. And let me tell you, South Africa's loss is our game, because you are a fantastic producer and great to have you here. Thanks so much, Christo. All right. A man and a woman